Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, and we're looking at a little 5-game Tuesday night slate here tonight. Nate, definitely want to check out Nate's article on playpicks.com with some of those best bets and player props for you, and like and subscribe to that page. We got a couple other videos up for you today, and in this one, we're taking a look at the Memphis Grizzlies continuing a road trip after pounding the Brooklyn Nets on the road last night, taking a second leg of a back-to-back to Cleveland tonight. Got some of those best bets and a few player props in there as well. Some guys missing. Make sure you are staying on the lines.com and playpicks.com as well to see who's in and out of the lineups with these weird COVID health and safety protocols coming, guys coming back in and out of the lineup, hours before game time. So you definitely want to make sure you stay on that before you get those best bets in. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Grizz, we're +3. It's now +2.5, but not moving too much. It's the total we've seen fluctuate on this game. Was 216 up to 218. Now we're back at 216 with Darius Garland expected to return for Cleveland. Ricky Rubio out for the season. Isaac Okoro is out for this game. So I love the over. I love that it's dropped a little bit, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the other 4 games tonight, we got Spurs +7 now at the Raptors. We're going to break that one down in our other game video today. Total crept up to 224 for that game. The Pacers are +1.5 at the Knicks, who will be without Derrick Rose and probably Kemba Walker tonight. So that's a low total of 206. Suns are -8 at the Pelicans. Both Jonas Valanciunas and Ingram are questionable for Nola there. And then it wraps up with the Kings +7 at Lakers, total of 230 there, as those teams tend to play some shootouts. We shall see. We'll talk about that in player props, but here it's all about the game bet, Josh. It's all about Memphis having no letdown. You asked me if I thought they might have a letdown after beating Brooklyn on the road. And if history is any indication this season, there is no letdown for Memphis when they respect the opponent. They've won straight up and covered in 4 of their 6 back-to-backs. The ones they did not were against the Pelicans when they were the worst team in the West. They just didn't take them seriously. And against the Thunder in Ja's first game back from that MCL tear. Since then, he's been on a tear since his own fans heckled him. He's pretty much put his money where put those words back in their mouth with a ridiculous 129 offensive rating, averaging 31.5 points, shooting 63% from downtown and 55% from the field during this 5-game win streak for Memphis. They have had no real let up on the road really all season. They've loved it. They're 12-5 against the spread in that spot. They've covered in 9 of their last 10 road games and 6-2 with a rest disadvantage. I mentioned those back-to-back numbers there. Now, Cleveland, they're starting to round back into form defensively. At least it might seem that way because they played a Pacers team that was missing all of their wing scorers. And Cleveland ekes out a 108-104 win that still technically goes over. So they've now gone over in 4 of their last 5. Since losing Rubio and with Allen and Mobley in and out of the lineup, they've really traded their defense for offense, ramped up to 9th in pace over their last 5 games, and they are actually 7th in effective field goal percentage in that span. And Kevin Love, in particular, leading that charge, shooting 53% from deep, averaging 25 points per game. And that's really key, both him and Markkanen in this matchup, because Memphis, they can deny the paint, that's for sure, with Brandon Clark back, Steven Adams out there. You're not going to get much going to the basket, but if you have bigs that can spread those guys out, all of a sudden Steven Adams has to take a seat. Clark might have to as well. It's going to turn into a bit more of a shootout, which we saw in the opener for these teams, right? 132-121 in Memphis. And especially with Darius Garland back, I think Cleveland will be even better offensively. But in a small sample size, their defense has been dreadful without Ricky Rubio. 119.6 rating, that is, in 3 games versus the best defensive rating in the East when he was active most of the season. So I would just hit the over here first and foremost. But I also like Memphis. I wouldn't have a problem with getting some extra juice with them as underdogs. The Memphis money line and the over has got to get you great odds here, even if it closes closer to a pick 'em. That's how we feel. I mean, last night we felt like Memphis could win in Brooklyn, and they sure as hell did. This team right now, it goes on. They go on streaks. They did without Ja. Now they have Ja. Their only key guys missing, Dylan Brooks and Melton. Shouldn't be a huge issue against this Cavs team. I think they can extend the win streak tonight.
Yeah, I like all of that for sure. I like I like the over, and I like the Grizzlies here. I mean, they're getting 3 points. This is wonderful, in my opinion, and I don't think there will be as much of a letdown because, to your point, the Cavs are a good team. I think we can establish that 5 games over 500 in the mix in the East. Definitely a huge blow with Rubio down for a long time, potentially the season, I believe now. But still, they still have the makings of a team that's on the rise and that's going to contend in the Eastern Conference all year. So I think, Memphis, a couple of things that I'm looking at here. Memphis can play both ways. They can play really, really fast. They can play a little bit slower. And it's not even really about the pace. It's about the personnel that they're playing when based on their opponent. So for instance, in their last 3 games, they've gone under as they've played teams where they've locked up on defense and they've sort of gone bigger at times so that they could sort of dominate teams like the Lakers, the Spurs, and the Nets, all teams who don't play well down low, who give up points in the paint, who give up a ton of rebounds. You would think that the Lakers, with a big lineup would be much better down low. Not the case this season. They've had to turn into a run and gun team, as you mentioned at the top of the show, with them going over their total a ton and scoring, and giving up a ton lately, as they've just said, okay, LeBron, you play 5 and we'll go fast. So my point here is that Memphis can play fast when they need to. They can play slow when they need to, because in the games before those last 3, their 3 previous went over, as they didn't quite have the same amount of bigs to deal with guys like DeAndre Ayton on the Suns, or even getting into the paint on the Warriors, who don't give up points down there. So they ran instead, and they those totals went over because they played small, and Steven Adams got a lot less minutes. That's how I see tonight going as well. I think you want to run on the Cavs as well when you've got 2 guys down low like Mobley and Jared Allen. You want to run them, maybe not run Mobley off the floor, as he's so versatile. He's like a deer running down the court. He's amazing, but you can get the other sort of twin tower out of the mix in Jared Allen if you play a lot faster. Guys like Kevin Love can't hold up as well. They want to play a little bit slower. So if you move that pace up for Memphis and do start to steal the ball as they do at the highest rate in the league, get those points off a fast break as they were doing at the fastest pace in the league until their last 4 games or so. So I think, the over, because of the fact that, if you're Memphis, you want to run and gun tonight. And if you're Cleveland, you're a much worse defensive team and a better offensive team now that you've got Darius Garland back in the lineup. Isaac Okoro out means you're worse on defense again. All these things point towards the over for us, but still, Memphis to me is, one thing I love here is, you mentioned Dylan Brooks is out, DeAnthony Melton, but you've got Desmond Bane, who in his last 5 is averaging 25, and it seems like Ja has his second scorer to go with him. Dylan Brooks is a great shooter, a little bit streaky, an incredible competitor and defender, but there wasn't that pure offensive wing player that could really come in alongside Ja, who's at the top of this thing, at the top of the offense and defense, and play on the wing alongside him and be that shooter and a guy that you trust with the ball in his hands. He's got 25 in his last 5, and in this season, when he gets 20 points, Memphis is 12-3 straight up. So he obviously adds to the team. He's contributing in a way that's leading to wins, and that's going to be what I continue to see tonight. He's going to get his shots, and there's no reason to think that he would cool off from those incredible splits he's had over the last 5 of about 50, 38, and like 90 at the line. So feeling really good about Desmond Bane, if he has some props available tonight too, as well as Ja went completely crazy last night. Might be a little bit of regression, but he's still going to be leading the charge of a fast-paced game that I think we both are definitely eyeing that over and Memphis tonight for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Ja went for 37, 6 and 6 in the opener against this team, so clearly he's going to have no problem beating them off the dribble. But yeah, with Isaac Okoro out, your Desmond Bane pick looks fabulous, and I don't think Memphis will have any trouble scoring. To your point about their changeability on the road, the pace has fluctuated a lot when they've gone to teams like Sacramento that want to run and gun. Right. Overall, they're averaging about 117 points in their last 6 road games. So when you have a total of 216, all you need is the other team to come along a little bit. And Cleveland is doing more than their part. I mean, in their last 3 home games, they actually have the last 5 home games, the number 1 offensive rating and effective field goal percentage just lighting it up from downtown, as I mentioned, with those guys, Love and Markkanen. So if you can expect Memphis to get theirs around 118, which they have been regardless of venue over their last 10 games or so, I don't think Cleveland's gonna have any problem keeping pace with that. I think it's very exploitable right now how the Cavs played early in the season and how they're playing now. And when you get Darius Garland back in there with his offensive prowess, they should try to be able to match Memphis in terms of points. And I think you're definitely – I feel very confident about the over in this one tonight.
Yeah, no, 100%. Last bit of stats there in terms of the over under with the rest disadvantage that you've got going on for Memphis tonight. In that situation, they do hit the over about. I just had this up. Yeah, they hit the over about 60% of the time with that rest disadvantage, and the Cavs same number when they have a rest advantage. So all the numbers here for both teams pointing into that direction for us, which is why we love that so much. And that is all the time we have for you today for this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video we love to bring you each and every weekday. Until we see you next, happy betting.